Everyone, my name is Alicia Jackson, licensed professional counselor, and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about what are parts. What are parts? As you may know, I am an internal family systems therapist, and I utilize this model to really center the focus on a lot of the content that I provide on this channel, whether it's talking about IFS directly or any reviews that I do through documentaries or through Married at First Sight to really learn about couples and dynamics and parts and how they interact. I talk a lot about internal family systems, and you'll hear me say the word part quite a bit. And so I felt like I needed to make a video about what are parts. What are parts? Let's talk about it. Let's jump right in. So, our brains are always looking out for us. One person commented on one of my videos, and I thought it was such an accurate description. And they said that our brain is always in a mama bear mode, like always looking out for us. It wants to make sure that we are safe and that we survive. Parts are a way that our brain makes sure that we are protected from emotional and physical pain. That what happened before, it will never happen again. And so it creates measures and parts to protect us, whether it be reactive parts, proactive parts. It protects us. That is the main goal. That is the main intention of our parts. And they show up in different ways. They show up in thoughts. Our parts may communicate to us with certain thoughts. You may have thoughts that are always constantly going on in your mind. Those are parts. Or even feelings. Feelings that come up and arise from different situations. And sometimes people feel like parts are emotions. That's not the case. Parts are usually carrying emotions or responding to something, and so they have an emotional reaction or response to it. They aren't usually just anger, right? They may be how you're receiving it, how you're experiencing this part, or how a part of you is receiving this part. But parts are more than just feelings. They just show up in our feelings sometimes. Also, a part shows up in our bodies. We'll experience something where we might be afraid, and then we'll just get a rush. We don't feel it, we don't think anything, but we'll get nauseated. We'll have headaches. We'll have tension in our shoulders. That is potentially, most likely, a part that's showing up. It has some concerns. It's trying to get your attention, and it's showing up in this way. And so our job is to attend to our parts, to get connected to our parts, to build a relationship with our parts. What we instinctively do oftentimes is we try to shut down our parts and we try to quiet our parts. Oftentimes clients come to therapists and they say, hey, I can't sleep. I can't sleep. No matter what I do, I can't sleep. That may be a part that's keeping you awake because it wants to get your attention. It needs you to attend to it. It needs you to acknowledge it. And you not sleeping isn't the issue. The part isn't the issue. What you haven't attend to, right, is the issue. Our parts are protecting very vulnerable, hurt parts of us called exiles or a wounded part of us. So oftentimes our exiles are very young, very, very young. We talk about, for an example, attachment styles. That is actually a very young exile that had a wound from whatever attachment style, whether it was avoidant, whether it was anxious or disorganized. They have this wound at a very, very early age and have developed different ways to protect you from that wound. Okay, so it's developed different parts in order to protect you from that wound. So say if you have a part of you that's avoidant, okay, so then you may have a part of you that really conceals information from people, creates distance from people because of that wound of attachment. So parts are methods, are ways that we protect ourselves from emotional pain and physical pain. And our responsibility is to get to know our parts, understand our parts, and build a relationship with our parts. Why do we want to do this? Why do we want to get to know these parts that annoy us? Because oftentimes we know this. If you've watched any of my other videos about parts, they create usually the situation they're trying to avoid, right? Because if we talked about, for an example, if someone has that avoidant attachment style and they create distance from people, well, they're doing that because they don't want to be neglected. Well, if they create distance from people, usually what happens is that distance feels comfortable to that other person. So, they don't connect as much. And that person is left feeling alone. Well, that is creating the situation that is trying to avoid. Because that part has some beliefs. Maybe one of those beliefs is that you're not worthy of attachment. Or that people are bad and people are going to leave us. That may be a belief, right? And so we get to know this part and get to have really truly appreciation and compassion for how they're showing up to protect you, because what we want to do is get permission and consent. Get permission and consent. It's very important to get that permission and consent to talk to that wounded part that's protecting, that exile that had that attachment wound, so that you can be present for that exile, so that part does not have to work so hard. It can trust you to be able to connect with others. It can be able to trust other people and even learn that, we have discernment now. We've had some life experience to know when someone is a person that will be loyal to us and someone who may not be loyal to us. We have that discernment because our parts are functioning at the age in which the wounding happened. So think about if that wounding happened at 3, 4, 5, 6 months old, that part is responding from that age. Yeah. And so our parts are always looking out for us. And so when you hear me use that part language about, someone has this part, or I see they have this part, that's what I'm talking about. They have a method. They have a method and a way that they are using to truly protect themselves. As this is a new thing, right? We think of ourselves as a singular being, but really we are multiple. We are multiple. We have different parts of us that show up in different ways to protect us, whether we realize it or not. And so we become more aware of it as you attune to your body, as you attune to your thoughts, as you tune to your feelings. Then you realize, I have these things that activate or trigger me and trigger these parts, and they show up in this way to protect me. They over-respond. And I need to now build some relationship with these parts. We have 3 different parts, right? We have our managers. They're on the front line. They are proactive. They are making sure we are safe and feel in control at all times. We also have our firefighters, who are usually reactive. They come in, they say, oh my goodness, something happened. Now I must soothe it. And they are faithful. They are loyal. They are faithful and loyal protectors. They do not care about the casualties or what will happen. All their concern is soothing the pain. And so a common firefighter may be a substance use or maybe rage. It's coming in to soothe the pain. It says, it's happening. We got to come in and soothe it, right? And then we also have the parts of us that are wounded, carrying the wounds. We have our exiles. And so we're tapping into our self energy. And we talked about what self is. I have a video about how to know when you're in self energy. But we tap into our self energy to be present for our exiles and be with them to witness their pain and acknowledge their pain so that our parts can not work so hard. Because oftentimes our parts do not like the duty that they have to provide or to embody in order to protect us. It's usually exhausting. Hypervigilance, that's exhausting. That's exhausting for us to do and constantly be. Anxiety asking those what if questions all the time, always considering the worst case scenario, those things are exhausting. And so parts usually just want to, whew, if I could just take a break, I really would. Or I don't like the fact that I have to, if we have a critical part or a part of us that is being very parental and feels like it has to judge you or tell you how you're wrong and how you're a bad person. It doesn't like the fact that it has to say those things, because our parts are very, very loving. They care about us so much, and they just feel like the only way to look out for us is the job that they learn to do at the time that they learn to do it. That's the issue. That's the rub. That's what's so frustrating. That's why, man, I know the right thing to do, but I just can't seem to do it. Like, why doesn't it happen? Because this part is faithful to do this job, and we have to build our relationship with our parts to take care of that wound. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you have any questions about parts or internal family systems, if there are any videos, other videos or topics that you would like for me to cover. And if you like this video, if you've stuck around this long, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, be cool, be calm, be centered.